you very much, sir. Honorable Chair, Professor Dr. Ahmed Said Minhas, fellow speakers, dignitaries, and dear students. Assalamu alaikum and a very good day. I'm here to present on the topic, Paradox of Maritime Security in Baltic Sea, Lessons for Poland, a Pakistani Perspective. This is the sequence of presentation. And since I do have only 10 to 12 minutes, as Chair has mentioned before, I'm not going to waste too much of time, and I'm trying to be focused on the topic. This is the core proposition of this research. The Baltic Sea as a geospatial realm has entered into a passive transitional phase of maritime security paradigm shift, reflecting difficulty in collapsing traditional approach before adopting non-traditional approaches of maritime security as an overpowering reality of contemporary era. This research has been established on these three fundamental questions. First question is that why has paradigm shift within maritime security become pertinent as well as mandatory in contemporary era with reference to Baltic Sea? Second question is, how has geography made this maritime region a captive of traditional security mindset, creating a paradoxical situation for the region? And third question is, why should Poland reconfigure its foreign policy to align it with non-traditional aspects of maritime security? So the first question which is here is, why are seas and oceans important? This is the answer, the broader answer. Humanity, global flows, and sustainability. But this is not the only answer, because it covers a lot of big discussion in it. This is the first point, which we are getting from the sea, food and nutrition. Then there is trade and commerce, which is related with the sea. Your everyday life is incomplete without the sea and this trade. There is energy. There is economy. There is spread of religions and civilizations that is also due to the sea. There is connectivity. We all are connected through the seas. There is a quote which we always use, that land divides and sea unites. We all are connected with each other through the seas. There is environment which is very important. There is foreign policy and diplomacy. Law enforcement is very important in this region, because when there is a lot of things going on in the sea, there would be law enforcement as well. And last but not the least is security and militarization. Now comes the concept of maritime security. Since we all know that all of us, majority of us, are coming from IR, we know that in the post-Cold War era, there was a security paradigm shift from traditional to non-traditional. And if I mention here that I have structured my research on the footsteps established by Barry Bizan, Oliver, and Jaap de Wilde, I would say that I have established it on the concept of securitization, which has 5 sectors basically. Now, if we look at maritime security, there are 2 parts: traditional security and non-traditional security, as I have mentioned earlier. First, looking at traditional side, because that is the side which is keeping all of us captivated. Military security, that is there in the sea, and that is covering military exercises. Naval competition is there, and nuclearization is there. And last but not the least is technological advancement. Another side is political security. That has been one important part of traditional security. geopolitics, sovereignty, and order at sea. Now coming to non-traditional side, environmental security is very important. Nowadays we all talk about climate change and things like that. There is pollution in the sea, which is causing problems for the trade and the food as well. There is acidification, and one big aspect of this loss is that due to the pollution and acidification, marine biodiversity is changing. There is a massive loss in the sea of marine biodiversity. This is another aspect, economic security, which covers shipping, fisheries, mineral extraction, and another sector is societal or social security, which is also related with the sea. Cultures and values, human and social securities, and transnational linkages. So coming directly to Baltic Sea region, you can see in the map, this region is covering 10 states. And Baltic Sea is inland sea, marginal sea of Atlantic Ocean, and it is connected with Atlantic through Danish Strait, which is quite narrow. Now comes a real question. What is the paradox of maritime security in Baltic Sea? This is traditional maritime security, and this is non-traditional maritime security. We have to compare these two areas. First point is Russia versus Western countries. That is the biggest dilemma of that region, which is keeping all Baltic states captive of that certain mindset which is not coming out of traditional competition. Basically, whenever we talk about Western countries, do not forget that NATO is there. You have to focus on the presence of NATO. There is forward positioning of NATO in 4 countries of this region, and 2 more are waiting to get enlisted in that NATO list. Then there is a naval and military competition, which is increasing day by day. And whenever we talk about naval and military competition, do not forget that one big reflection of this competition is war exercises or naval exercises which are being conducted in that region, and the intensity of those exercises, the nature of those exercises, and the frequency of exercises is changing with every passing day. Once it was focused, the nature of exercises was focused on capabilities, but now they are basing it on simulation practices of full-fledged war and nuclear attacks. So it is making it nuclearized as well. And last point is residual of First and Second World War, and there is dumped equipment and ammunition which is there in that sea, making it difficult to be handled in terms of non-traditional security threats. Now moving to the other side, there is climate change. Since it is brackish water, the climate change is changing the pattern of floods which is there to maintain the level of water, and the level of salinity is also being changed, which is causing eutrophication. When eutrophication is there, oxygen level would be low, and several species could be extinct from that ocean or the sea. Pollution is there, which is due to different chemicals and other shipping activity in that region. Harmful fishing practices are there, just like every other sea and ocean are noticing that harmful fishing practices, the use of wrong nets, that is there. And devastated fish stocks. Due to all these activities, due to pollution and due to all these things, fish stock is devastating. That means that fish stock, the lowering number of fish or extincting of the fish, is going to affect your food chain. And that is causing the real paradox of maritime security in Baltic Sea region. Look at this picture. That is looking very colorful. I clicked this picture at 12:25 a.m. today. That is reflecting the number of ships which were there in Baltic Sea at that time. If this big number of ships is there in that region, that means a lot of economic activity going on in that region, which needs to be monitored, which needs to be governed by certain mechanism. And on the one hand, it is bringing economic opportunities, but on the other hand, there are ship emissions as well. Now I will talk about lessons for Poland, because I have a limited time and I do not want to exceed those minutes. Sir, do I have 1 or 2 minutes extra?
12 minutes.
Okay. Right. So these are the lessons. With Pakistani perspective, as we already are facing lots of non-traditional security threats in our own waters, we can compare ourselves with Poland, and some of the lessons which can be drawn for the Poland with this Pakistani perspective which are here. First thing is reconfiguring of Poland's foreign policy. That is very much important, because contestation or competition is engaging us more than required, more than needed. We need to look beyond those traditional things, and we need to look at non-traditional aspects. Second point is peace and stability. Since Russia is there, since war between Russia and Ukraine is affecting this region very much, this region needs to be looked for peace and stability, and Poland needs to assure that this peace and stability is there. There should be swift shift toward non-traditional maritime security. That is about change of mindset. I'm not talking about leaving everything behind. Yes, defense capabilities should be intact. Those should be very much strengthened. But do not forget that non-traditional maritime security is also important, because that is related with human security. Next thing is sustainable economy. Again, related with the ocean, all economic activity is going on there. And one point I had noted here that was quite interesting for me, and obviously that would of your interest as well, that Poland has national fleet of 146 ships, which is carrying 102,000 deadweight tonnage. That is a big volume of trade which is being dealt by Poland, and they are having their own ships. That means that they have to address related issues as well. Then environmental protection, and last is hybrid maritime security. Since cyber attacks are there, since pollution is there, since propaganda is there, and war is already going on there, that is causing a hybrid kind of threat in that region, and Poland has to face these threats and has to deal with these threats as well. And I will conclude with this thing, that Baltic Sea needs to make maritime security paradigm shift, get transitioned from traditional to non-traditional swiftly, as it is quite significant for not letting the region a prisoner of geography any longer for broader good. Thank you very much.